Welcome to the Hannity TV program. It's the Clinton scandal that just won't go away. I'm Tucker Carlson, in tonight for Sean. New revelations this afternoon about Hillary Clinton's lingering email controversy. This after the FBI published brand new documents related to its now closed investigation into the former Secretary of State. Joining us now with the very latest on this is our own Catherine Herridge. Catherine?
This 11-page FBI summary of Hillary Clinton's July 2nd interview shows the former Secretary of State could not remember key details about her emails more than 24 times. Critics aren't buying it.
It isn't plausible. Not someone with her background, experience, training. She's an attorney, 25 years in government, and suddenly she has selective amnesia. It's not plausible. It's not believable.
Clinton told FBI agents she could not recall when she got a security clearance. Clinton could not recall briefings or training on the handling of classified information. And Clinton could not recall specialized training for the U.S. government's most closely held secrets, known as special access programs. But the same week Clinton became Secretary of State, she signed 2 non-disclosure agreements where she said she knew the rules and that violating these agreements could result in criminal charges. Clinton also told the FBI that she could not recall the details surrounding the 2009 setup of the ClintonEmail.com domain, whose servers were housed at their Chappaqua, New York home. Clinton said the personal email account was a matter of convenience. FBI agents do not appear to press Clinton on the issue, further reinforcing Republican criticism of the FBI director and the investigation.
Remember, James Comey said she was not indicted because he didn't have sufficient evidence on the issue of intent. She said she did it for convenience, but I didn't see the follow-up questions in the interview I read.
The heavily redacted FBI summary also shows Clinton was questioned about the 22 top-secret emails too damaging to release for national security reasons, and that questioning included the drone campaign as well as human spying for CIA programs. Tucker?
Catherine Herridge. Thanks a lot, Catherine. Well, here with reaction from our Republican presidential candidates, Governor Mike Huckabee of Arkansas and Dr. Ben Carson. It is great to see you both. Dr. Carson, first to you. This is kind of definitive then. Hillary Clinton says, I didn't know the rules. That's not a plausible explanation, is it?
It's not a plausible explanation, and her failure to remember anything certainly is not a quality that you would want to see in a president.
So I'm assuming you buy it then. Do you think she wasn't capable of remembering the most basic rules on handling classified material?
Well, it doesn't particularly matter. If she wasn't capable of remembering that, she definitely would not be capable of performing the duties of the president. And if she is lying about it, then that disqualifies her too. I think she's disqualified either way you look at it.
So, Governor Huckabee, just take 3 steps back. We're finding out about this from the FBI on the afternoon of Labor Day weekend, on a Friday, on a holiday weekend. This is a classic way to bury news that you think is going to be damaging to the principal. The FBI is not a political organization, but this move suggests they're acting for political reasons. Do you think that's true? And if so, how discouraging is that for a law enforcement agency to help a political campaign?
Well, the FBI has always been above and beyond the political ramifications. It's one of the reasons that most Americans have an incredibly high respect for the FBI. This hurts the FBI's reputation, hurts James Comey's reputation, but most of all, it damages Hillary Clinton. I mean, for her to memory about what she was briefed on than Jason Bourne knew about his past identity is just not realistic. And I agree with Ben Carson. If she really doesn't remember fundamental facts of national security like this, then she has no business being sworn in as president, and we need to make sure the American people don't make what could be an incredibly irrevocable mistake.
So, Dr. Carson, these 60 pages suggest more stories to come in this way. You have Hillary Clinton in the FBI's account losing somehow 13 different PDAs, some cell phones. You have her using her device in foreign countries. You have her with a SCIF, which is supposed to be a bug-proof room in her house and office that is not secure. This suggests that she was more vulnerable even than we knew to attacks by foreign intelligence agencies. Do you think we're going to be hearing that story before Election Day?
I hope so, but here's the other thing that we have to consider. Because she had such vital information in such insecure places, I think probably the Chinese, the Russians, and some others probably have some of that information. Now, what would it be like to have a president who could be blackmailed by other nations because they have information that she doesn't want to come out?
Well, that is the question. That is absolutely the question. And I think it's a major concern for the intelligence agencies in this country. Governor Huckabee, Tell us, I mean, you, of course, are from Arkansas. You were three-term governor of Arkansas. You know the Clintons very well. They're smart people. They try to cover all the bases. They're paranoid. They're aware of their public perception. Why would Mrs. Clinton behave in a manner this reckless? What would motivate her to do that?
Because for so long, Tucker, she and her husband have gotten away with living by a different set of rules than everybody else. You know, we remember back in 2008, the big banks were protected because they were too big to fail. And I think what we have is a Hillary Clinton who thinks she's too big to jail. She thinks that these rules that apply to everybody else in government are for them, for the little people, but not for her. And that's very troubling. And this is not a political issue. I know it's going to sound like it, and coming from me, look, I don't pretend that I'm nonpartisan. I'm very partisan. I have a very particular point of view. But try to look at this objectively. And let's remember that she said, well, she only had one device. Now we know she got rid of 13 different devices. So there's so many things that have just been said that are fundamentally not true, and she can't possibly say that she just didn't remember how many devices that she had when there were 13 of them.
So, Dr. Carson, the whole point of America, the whole reason people come here from other countries who yearn to be Americans, is because we're equal under the law, all of us. And this puts a lie to that. What do you say to the numerous Americans who are now doing jail time or have felony records for mishandling, in some cases they claim unintentionally, classified information?
Well, I say I'm sorry that you are the victims of an unfair system. And, you know, as Governor Huckabee alluded to, this kind of issue, it's really not a Democrat or Republican issue. This goes to the very heart of who we are as a nation, who we are as people. What do we accept? What kinds of leaders do we want to put up in front of our children as examples? If we put somebody up who lies as easily as they breathe, and this is our greatest role model, what can we expect from the next generation of Americans?
Well, that's a deep question. I mean, Governor Huckabee, I don't think Hillary Clinton's the worst person in the world at all, but I think that this behavior is clearly unacceptable. There's no defending it at all, and yet Democrats are defending it. Donald Trump has said things that are hard to defend, and a lot of Republicans said, you know, I'm not going to defend it. Like, that's wrong. And they've walked away from him. You haven't seen anything like that on the Democratic side. It's been lockstep, robotic support for their candidate. Do you think you're going to see any Democrats of conscience say, I'm sorry, I'm not going to defend this behavior?
Publicly, probably not. I've always admired the Democrats for circling the wagons around the people that they're trying to protect, no matter how ridiculous it is. And we've seen that not only with Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton, but with Barack Obama. I mean, they just always sort of say, no, our side does nothing wrong. But this is troubling, and it needs to be to independent voters, people who really want America to be a place where everybody gets treated the same, where Lady Justice is blindfolded and presiding over scales that balance justice and mercy, not campaign and contributions to the Clinton Foundation on one side of the scale and favors on the other. And that's the kind of White House we would have with Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, boy, I don't admire that lockstep at all.
No,
because I think it betrays the real point of Democratic politics, which is not to sort of act on behalf of some principle, but to acquire power and use power. And I don't think that's a good reason to get into politics.
But at some point, we have to ask ourselves, who are we?
Yeah.
And what kind of people are we? And what do we represent? And not what is politically expedient and what will help our party to do better. And if that's the road we're going to go down, we're doomed.
Man, I hope if Trump ever did something like this, or if, you know, whatever Trump does, I'm not going to be there robotically defending it. You know, stick to your principles. You'll feel good about it yourself in the end. Anyway, thank you, gentlemen. It's great to see you both. Thanks for putting that all into context. I appreciate it. Governor Huckabee.
You bet.
Dr.
Thanks.
Carson.
Absolutely.
I did not email any classified material to anyone on my email. There is no classified material. So I'm certainly well aware of the classification requirements. And I had not sent classified material nor received anything marked classified. I did not send classified material, and I did not receive any material that was marked or designated classified.
I believe and have said many times that I take classified materials seriously, and there were no materials that were marked classified.
Well, you can just pick her statements at random, and the FBI has proved them false. Welcome back to the Hannity TV program. That was, of course, the former Secretary of State denying over and over again that there was classified material on a private email account. Of course, we now know that's not true at all. There are multiple instances of classified material housed in her private email system, for those who care. And according to documents released this afternoon by the FBI, new questions are now being raised about her careless handling of state secrets that may have put this country at risk. And it's not an overstatement. It actually happened. Joining us now with analysis, Fox News contributor, former Clinton pollster Doug Schoen, and Republican strategist Noel Nickpour. It's great to see you both. Doug, look, I'm not arguing that Hillary Clinton, gave the hydrogen bomb to the Soviets. But I am arguing what's obvious, which is if a normal citizen had done this, he'd be indicted. And that's true. So how can you look at what Hillary did and the response from the Justice Department and not conclude the system is actually rigged in favor of people with power?
Here's what I would tell you. Secretary Clinton, as a Democrat of conscience, clearly made profound errors. The FBI said it was extremely careless, not gross negligence. Tucker, this is politics. And you know what? I don't defend it. I was troubled, deeply troubled by what I saw today. That being said, as a Democrat, I still support Secretary Clinton, but these are troubling revelations, rest assured.
Look, I'm not even attacking Hillary Clinton. I think this is what Hillary Clinton does. I think it's what she's always done. No more than you can attack a scorpion for stinging you. That's what they do. I'm attacking the Obama Justice Department for subverting justice on behalf of the Democratic nominee, because I think it hurts the entire country and the system itself.
Right, and if you look at everything that she's done, and if you go back and look, some of the problem that she said is she was like, I don't recall. 39 times, I don't recall. And if you look back in 2012, you remember when she had the concussion and the doctor had cleared her? The doctor had cleared her for 2 hours a day to be working at the State Department, okay? Now, here's where I lay, or you want to look at something else. Where was the Obama administration? Where were the higher-ups that allowed her to go back and be briefed on our national security and things going on with the State Department when she didn't get the 100%, when she couldn't put in a full day's work? I mean, this is somewhere there is more fault than also just Hillary Clinton and her I don't know.
Well, that's a fair question. So, Doug, look, all the Hillary toadies in the press, and that's basically everybody, Politico, the Washington Post, are saying that anyone who raises questions about her health is engaging in conspiracy theory, and I'm not actually. But after reading these 60 pages where she repeatedly says, I have no memory of things that a normal person would remember, why shouldn't I be kind of concerned about her memory? Honestly.
I think those are fair questions, Tucker, but you talk about the Obama Justice Department. Last I checked, James Comey is an independent operator, a Republican who has a reputation for probity and integrity. So I would look at him as well as the Justice Department.
Well, but I agree with
but certainly there are questions.
I agree with you. Seriously, look, you're a sophisticated political guy. You don't drop 60 pages of controversial material on the Friday afternoon before Labor Day weekend unless you're doing it for political reasons. James Comey is not supposed to be a political actor. He's the head of the FBI. Why is he acting on behalf of the Hillary people?
Why don't you ask him?
It's a great question.
Ask the FBI.
Like, what is going on in this?
I think those are fair questions.
It's absolutely ridiculous. So,
this isn't the third world. It's the United States of America. We're a government of rule of law, and you should ask them those questions rather than just fulminating about it.
Well, you know what? I don't have access to them, just to you. So tonight you're their surrogate. I'm going to fulminate because I can't control myself.
Well, fulminate all you want.
I'm fulminating
but you know what?
away.
This is politics.
So,
this is politics. Secretary Clinton dodged a bullet, literally and metaphorically, remains slightly ahead, and that's what this is all about, in her terms and the American people's
Well, I don't know how she does
terms.
one literally,
It's
but
politics.
we can talk off air. So, Noel, I already said that I'm not surprised by anything Hillary does, but I just, you got to kind of take this information as it comes, and I just can't resist playing this following clip. It's one of 1,000 we could have picked against which we are comparing reality. Here's Hillary Clinton on the number of devices she used as Secretary of State.
I thought it would be easier to carry just one device for my work and for my personal emails instead of two. I think that it might have been smarter to have those two devices from the very beginning.
iPhone or Android?
iPhone. Okay, in full disclosure,
BlackBerry.
and a BlackBerry. I have an iPad, a mini iPad, an iPhone, and a BlackBerry.
Turns out she had 13 BlackBerries. And by the way, who asks a question like that? Talk about the endless sucking up by celebrity news figures to Hillary Clinton is really stomach-turning. But it turns out she had 13 and she doesn't know where they are.
She had 13. She has iPad. She has BlackBerry. She has every device in the world, and that's great. And she still can't remember anything with all the backup of all the devices she has, number one. And number two, an aide even said that he saw them smashing a couple of them with a hammer. I mean, you've got to look at this. This is insane. And this is somebody that's running for president of the United States with this investigation that she was found clean, and she's running for the highest office in the United States.
President, I think. So, Doug, you spent a lot of time around government, obviously, and in Washington, and you know how unbelievably uptight the executive branch is about security. I mean, they really are. They've got the SCIFs. They don't allow personal email in the White House. You know all this because you've lived it. Why didn't someone in the building say, whoa, 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 we don't do that around here. Like, your SCIF, your secure communications room has to be secure and yours isn't. Like, why didn't someone raise an alarm?
I think these are, again, fair questions. The problem is the Obama Justice Department, the Obama White House, clearly let Secretary Clinton do what she did. She's been shown by the FBI to have been extremely careless, not to have committed indictable offenses. That's the way it'll be. There'll be more revelations. I'll say one thing, free advice. She should get out of the Clinton Foundation right now. It will only help her chances of being elected.
Yeah, I don't think they will. They're very money-centered, the Clintons, as you know. They're greedier than any finance guy I've ever met.
Winning.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Money's money, winning's winning. And this is about elections.
So gross. Ew. But you're great for coming on, Doug. I appreciate it. You too, Noel. Thanks a lot, both of you.
Thank you.
This is the legacy of President Obama and Hillary Clinton. It can't get any worse. To those suffering, I say, what do you have to lose in trying Trump? What do you have to lose?
That was, of course, Donald Trump on the campaign trail, making his pitch to black voters. Tomorrow, he's headed to Detroit, where he's going to address a black church and tour parts of the city with Dr. Ben Carson. Here with reaction, Fox News contributor and Sirius XM Patriot host David Webb, and trial attorney and political commentator, our old friend Eric Guster. Welcome to you both. So, Eric, Hillary Clinton said the other day that Trump was racist for bringing this message before a white audience. Now he's going for a black audience tomorrow. He's going to bring the same message. She'll probably call him a racist again. He's not going to win a huge percentage of the black vote. But what's wrong with this message? Pretty great message, isn't it? Like, it's not working. Let's try something new. Why is that bad?
What he said was the equivalent of the drunk guy at last call saying, hey, you have nothing to lose, so go home with me. That is what Trump was telling these voters.
Yeah,
so
and if you
have nothing to lose.
It's not that bad message, is it?
Just call it the black community, the drunk guy at the bar?
No, he's the drunk guy at the bar trying to get the girl to go home with him. Because he's saying, I'm a last resort. You are all in bad shape. Yes, he is.
No, he's
that
not.
is what he said.
Right, so
that is exactly what he said.
Can I ask a really quick question?
Sure.
Do you think it is working in Detroit and Chicago? Pretty well?
What, Trump's message to black people?
The urban policy we've had for 50 years, kind of working pretty well, do you think?
No, we're talking about Trump's message.
No, but his
Trump's message is not going to work. I want him to say exactly what he said right there again.
So let's go to the issue and answer your question, because I was in Detroit just a week ago, and I took a drive through some of these neighborhoods that are blighted, and some of these beautiful old neighborhoods that have been razed, some of them, buildings closed up, business closed up. I look at some of the cities that have failed since the 60s, like Newark, New Jersey, Fifth Ward in Houston, parts of East LA. All across this country, we have seen failure by the so-called promises from the Democrats to the black community, and frankly, the new, if I want to, let's call it what it is, masters of the black community with the Congressional Black Caucus. You look at the policies, you look at the failures, the failure in education, the failure in economy. You talk about urban flight, where companies have fled from high crime zones.
Yeah.
Chicago just reached.
Now Detroit was an auto town, and a lot of the shift in the auto industry is what caused the downfall of Detroit. That wasn't a Democratic policy.
Let's look at the facts behind this.
Yes, actually, you all are trying to shift it. That's not a Democratic policy issue.
I deal in facts. The facts
that
behind
is a fact.
The facts behind Detroit.
So let's talk about it.
Yes, I will, if you let me. The facts behind Detroit is that it was predictable failure with the growth of union labor rates, the costs that auto manufacturers could not maintain, the fact that
I get it. I mean, it's a familiar story. story, but the bottom line...
Where did this come from, to your point? It came from the liberal alignment with a lot of these unions, a lot of these companies
that cost
true. The jobs.
But the bottom line is you can't look at Detroit or Chicago or Gary, Indiana or Cleveland and say, you know what, good job, Democratic leadership. But let me ask you this. So I'm always wondering, like, why does Hillary Clinton think she has an absolute moral claim on all black votes? And she does, and she's basically said that. It turns out Hillary Clinton is from the Mississippi Delta. She grew up poor there. How do I know that? You thought she was from suburban Chicago? No. Listen to her talk, and you'll know her roots. Watch.
I don't feel no ways tired. I come too far from where I started from. Nobody told me that the road would be easy. Now, let me tell you, I'm aware I may not be the youngest candidate in this race, but I have one big advantage. I've been coloring my hair for years.
Now, I'm sure there's more patronizing tape we could find, but I can't imagine what it would look like. That is the single most patronizing, awkward thing I've ever seen.
I doubt if you'll find more because those are only 2 clips that are being shown.
But they're unbelievable.
And
if Trump had talked that way, man, I wouldn't defend it. I'd be like, oh, that's nauseating.
Well, that's not a good tape. That's a bad clip. I'll give you that.
Reality has just descended.
No, you know, I always shoot straight. But when we're talking about 2 candidates where Trump has 43% of white people think he's a racist. That is a problem for him. True. So if 43% of white people think you're racist, you have a big issue.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean you are a racist, and it's worth debating the core issues, I think.
Let's get back to the core issue of what we're here to talk about.
Racist
propaganda to Eric, I'd love to spend time on the deflection, but I want to go to the issue here, which is the black community. We have gone from a community back in the days of civil rights that had strong family structure, a growing middle class, fastest growing middle class in the early 90s because of college graduation was black males. We have gone to a community that has got a higher unemployment rate, a lower education rate, and the young millennials. No, let me finish.
No, I'm asking.
Stop interrupting my point, and I get to finish it.
Let's go.
Let me finish. When all those factors and more combine, you have failure in a community, and what Donald Trump is saying, shouldn't you consider another choice? And it's this simple reason. Blacks have given their unyielding support to the Democrats for 50 years, and there's a split. It's not a monolithic block, but look at the urban blacks and where they are economically
so Eric,
and
I just want to ask you one last question, and it's this. When you listen to Hillary talk and you listen to Obama talk, I'm listening to you, and you really get the impression that the Democrats believe the single biggest impediment to success in the inner city is white racism from conservatives. Do you believe that? Do you really believe that?
No, that's not the single largest impediment.
What is?
It is.
What is the single biggest impediment?
Proper funding for education, among other issues, job creations.
But
education funding has increased.
But I want
more money than suburban schools.
But let me finish. In reference to Trump versus Hillary, Hillary wasn't my first choice, but looking at Trump versus Hillary, she is clearly the choice in this race.
Can we just use the point Eric Buster made, which is completely wrong? The cost of education, which I've been reporting on for years now, has increased to some averages of $24,000 to $28,000 per student in these urban environments where money Let me finish. Where the money going into the education system has not been applied to education, but the growth of the administrative structure.
There's clearly not a direct correlation between how much we spend and the results. Right. I mean, it's not that simple, obviously.
And one last point. This was the election that the GOP could have attracted the black vote, but Trump is definitely not the candidate.
Look, anyone who runs is going to be racist because he has to be. The Democrats have to call you a racist, period. Like,
on my radio show, I've encouraged people to split their ticket for years. Trump is not the candidate to
But that's why you're sitting here, because you're a beacon of reasonableness in a sea of nuttiness. But, I mean, like, it's true. The Republican has to be, I mean, relatively speaking, you wouldn't defend that Hillary tape.
Look, let me say this to the black community. Stop giving away your political power to any party, and in this case, the Democrats, because they have nothing to gain and nothing they want but your vote.
Don't vote for Trump.
What would have been your
solution?
solution?
Right,
don't vote for Trump.
I'm being told that we're out of time.
And don't vote for the liar, Hillary Clinton.
And Mr. Trump.
Coming up next, right here on the Hannity TV show.
We will build a great wall along the southern border. And Mexico will pay for the wall.
He's going to build a wall. You can hear Morning Joe scoffing, but it turns out people kind of want a wall, actually. How does his plan compare to Hillary Clinton? She's against a wall, except when it's around the White House. We're going to break down her plan coming up next. Welcome back to Hannity. Donald Trump delivered a major immigration policy speech earlier this week in Phoenix. Here's some of the highlights in case you missed it. Watch.
We will build a great wall along the southern border, and Mexico will pay for the wall. We are going to suspend the issuance of visas to any place where adequate screening cannot occur. Within ICE, I am going to create a new special deportation task force focused on identifying and quickly removing the most dangerous criminal illegal immigrants in America who have evaded justice, just like Hillary Clinton has evaded justice, okay?
So the speech went on for over an hour, but the core promise was this. Trump said he's going to put Americans first with his immigration policy. He's not going to do anything except to the extent it benefits Americans. Does Hillary have the same guiding spirit in her immigration plan? Here to tell us, American Conservative Union Chairman Matt Schlapp, psychology expert and radio show host Dr. Gina Loudon, and Democratic strategist Dr. Jessica Tarlov. He's not actually a doctor, but for the purposes of tonight's show, you are now. Oh, you are a doctor.
Well, a PhD. It's like a little fake, but it's a thing.
Good enough for cable. So here's my question to you, starting Jessica Tarlov. So Trump has said, I'm putting Americans first. That was the core of his speech.
Right.
I've heard Hillary Clinton say an awful lot about immigration. I sat through the entire Democratic convention in Philadelphia. I didn't hear her say one thing, not one thing ever, about the effects of immigration, legal or illegal, on American citizens, people who live here. Why?
Well, it's a different focus of a message. Obviously, the core of her plan is that there's a pathway to citizenship for the 11 million undocumented immigrants that are in the country right now, which actually it seems like is Donald Trump's plan as well. If you look at what he said the morning after his speech, he's waffling a bit at this, and Amnesty.
That's certainly not the core of his plan or his main concern.
No, not what he had said that night. No, the America
main concern
First
of Morning Joe, but not the main concern.
No, well, he didn't say it to Morning Joe. Yes, Amnesty Dawn is Morning Joe's thing, but the truth of the matter is that what he said on Wednesday night is not what he said on Thursday morning, which is a problem. We still don't know what his speech is. But what Hillary Clinton talks about, she talks about American exceptionalism, and she talks about what America is founded on, which is being a melting pot of people from all over the world, and that her core argument is that immigrants make us better as a nation. They're not here just to take our jobs, to kill our children.
Okay, but that's a bumper sticker, not a policy. And it's a nice spirit. I mean, I like immigrants, Matt Schlapp. I think every American, I mean it, does like immigrants. They work super hard. They're really nice. I mean, I think most of them are great, actually. But doesn't a president have to take into account the effects of immigration on people who were born here, who live here, who are American citizens? I don't get the sense Hillary Clinton cares at all. And if she does, I'll stand corrected. But show me the evidence.
Look, it's all politics, right? She was against illegals getting driver's licenses, and now she's for it. She's now criticizing Barack Obama for actually more aggressively than in the beginning of his administration, deporting illegal aliens. Taking on her own president. She voted for a fence, which she called a fence, not a wall. I don't know whether it's a wall or a fence, Tucker, or just a barrier, but she voted for that when she thought it was good for her politically. She's all over the map, but it comes down to this. At the end of the day, for Hillary Clinton, she's going to do or say anything to the left flank of her party in order to have the cohesion she needs to keep the Bernie Sanders and hopefully the Jill Stein people at bay.
Exactly.
And at the end of the day, Donald Trump has this right, which is when 75% of the American public thinks, and that's Democrats and Republicans, by the way, thinks we're on the wrong track, and when our economy is as weak and soft as it is, where people haven't seen increases in their take-home pay, it's right to put American citizens first. It is not racist. It is right.
I want to get Gina Loudon in here. So, Gina, last year, 2015, fully 1/2 of all driver's licenses issued in the state of California went to illegal aliens. Hillary Clinton supports that. Why would she support that? It seems pretty clear that Democrats are intent on erasing the distinction between citizen and non-citizen in the expectation that non-citizens will vote. I mean, this is a political.
There's no evidence of that.
Really?
That illegals are voting?
Then why wouldn't, Gina, let me ask you this. Why wouldn't they vote? In states with no requirement for ID, why wouldn't illegal aliens vote?
Of course they vote, and that honestly is my biggest fear about the next election. It isn't that Mr. Trump will lose. Tucker, I live right on the Mexican border, and I can tell you that my friends and neighbors, by and large, Hispanic immigrants, will be voting for Mr. Trump because they don't like what's happening in their own neighborhoods. I love Jessica, but I cannot understand how anyone can sit there with a straight face and defend what Hillary is proposing. She's essentially saying, hey, Jessica, tonight when you go to bed, leave your doors open, set a pot of cash out on your sidewalk, because that's what she wants us to do with our country. Most Americans can see right through this. They know it's all about votes, Tucker, and that's why they like Mr. Trump's plan that is actually a plan.
So Gina, look, you're game to answer any question, and I'm going to ask you a sincere one. Hillary Clinton is saying, my campaign is about wages, middle-class wages. How can you simultaneously say that and encourage a continuation of a massive importation of low-end labor into the labor pool, which depresses wages?
Well, we have a net outflow of immigrants from Mexico. Yes, we
not
do.
From Mexico, but not net. But we have a net increase, massive. We are approaching the highest levels of foreign-born people in this country we've ever had, ever. You can't look me in the eye and tell me that raises wages. It does the opposite.
No, I know, and we've talked about this, that there are people who are going against the
So how can she say the both things?
Well, she can say the both. Her main argument is about these 11 million people who are here. Yes, there's a visa program, but it's about the 11 million, the good people who Donald Trump talked about, been here 20, 30 years working for their families. To Matt's point about the direction of the country, 75% wrong track, that's a little bit high. But what about the 65% that favor a pathway to citizenship? Over 50% of the GOP is now behind it. 77% for legalization.
What about Americans, Matt? Look, I'm not.
What about
what's
so bad about your life?
The 20 million or whatever the number is of illegals in this country, I'm sure a lot of them are really nice people. I mean,
11 million.
Right. We don't know that. That's not a real number. But it's a census number. We don't know what the number is. But here's the point. What about the effect on Americans? Like Trump, whatever his many faults, he's the only person I've ever heard ask that question.
You know what's funny about, they talk about the fact that we're having illegal Mexican immigrants go back to Mexico. Even they're indicting the Obama economy. Even they can't find what they need with the wages they've been able to get in the past.
That's the hilarious point.
And what about the debt?
Let me try here. Let me try. The fact is the fact that putting America first, people say it's racist, they say it's nativist. No, it's not. It just makes sense. And by the way, it's connecting to people, be they Republican, Democrat, Independent, whatever they are. They're like, why shouldn't I be first?
Well, that's a great question. Gina Ladin, we're almost out of time. Just sum it up for me, would you?
Yeah. Tucker, when you put all the noise aside, all Americans care about in this election is being able to provide for their families and to be able to keep them safe. Mr. Trump's 10-point plan addresses that. Hillary hasn't even addressed the debt, her incompetence as Secretary of State, or anything else, any of the mistakes that she's made so far.
Well, she's going to do that
like freedom,
in her next press conference. So stay tuned. Gina, Matt, Dr. Tarlov, it's great to see you all. Welcome back to Hannity. It has been, and we are counting here, 273 days since Hillary Clinton last held a legitimate press conference. After pressure from the press, ABC News is reporting that Clinton will start using a larger campaign plane to allow the press to travel with her. The question is, will she let them up front to ask questions, or will she treat them like this?
Secretary Clinton, any comment on your husband?
You'll love this, Jen.
Secretary Clinton, any comment on your husband leaving?
Secretary Clinton, here, everybody try one.
Secretary Clinton, should your campaign have known that Omar Mateen's father was at your campaign rally yesterday?
Thanks, folks. Appreciate it.
Secretary Clinton, do you have time for a question? Thank you all very much.
The distraction that the Clinton cash was a distraction. Can you comment on the specific allegations, though?
Woof, as in a bad marriage, she's not even hearing them. She stopped listening. What, were you talking? Joining us now, two of our old friends, Lee Carter, she's the famous pollster, and Fox News contributor and political legend, Pat Caddell. Great to see you both. Pat, to you,
Great to see you.
This is a middle finger in the face of the press, obviously, and yet they continue to love her, to worship her, to carry her water, to lick her boots. Is there anything Hillary Clinton could do? Could she spit in the face of a New York Times reporter? Is there anything she could do? Could she murder one of them to have them turn against her?
No, I think they would have a wake and have a festival if she did. No, killed one of them. This is, in my lifetime, the greatest bias I have ever seen. The jihad, I call it.
It's unbelievable.
No, I've never seen anything like it. And here's the problem with it. What's happening when they're not calling her out on, and she's smart not to do it, I guess, politically, although now I believe it will start working against her badly because of the stories that are coming out. But she is doing this in a way that is so contemptuous of the American people. And the press behavior. See, I think politicians shouldn't complain about the press, whine about the press.
Right.
What they should be discussing is the institutional abuse of an institution that's job is to protect the American people from power, not to get in bed and promote power.
That's exactly it. I'm so glad you said that. They are working on behalf of the establishment, which is not what they're supposed to be doing. Lee Carter, I get this strategy, and I think Hillary's hide strategy works if the campaign is all about Donald Trump's personality. She doesn't want to get involved in that. It helps her. But if the campaign is about issues, real issues like immigration, for example, or trade, does it help her to hide?
It doesn't help her to hide. I think she's taking a strategy right now where she feels the best thing to do is just play it out, just write it out, put her head down, and not really say anything except to try and use Donald Trump's words against him. The problem is it's way too long. We've got 70 days, 80 days till the election. This is too long for her to just write it out. And people are seeing through what she is trying to do. I think people are trying to, like, when we see this, that she's going to invite the press in and it doesn't seem authentic, people are calling her out on it. People are saying this isn't authentic, this isn't real.
Right.
And if she doesn't really open herself up, then people are going to say, we see you're being calculated. And a lot of the decisions that are being made about the election this year are all about authenticity. And can I relate to you? Can I trust you? And I think people are really having a hard time with Hillary Clinton.
So this campaign's going to end, Pat, and as you just wisely noted, the press has decided to defend entrenched power. They're on the side of Hillary Clinton and the hedge fund managers against middle America.
Right. The American people understand that.
They do, and that raises the question, what's going to happen when this ends, when the election's over? Can they credibly cover our government after this?
Well, they won't be credibly covering it any more than they've credibly covered the last 4 years. You know, this is frightening. I mean, Barack Obama, ironically, doesn't like the press, despises them, and yet they have protected him on more things. No president has ever had lapdogs like them in the modern era. You know, it is when John Kennedy had a friendly press corps, he had very negative editors. He had very hostile editors and many columnists. If you want to take an example of someone who was a darling of the press. This is different, though. This is from top to bottom. And their decision, what's going to happen with her, I believe, is with all the revelations like today's, which is criminal behavior, in my opinion, of the highest sort, while people are, as you raised earlier in the program, in jail for doing much less. That what she's doing is she's thumbing her nose not at the press, but at the American people. Right. And when they get that point, if that point starts getting made, and the press comes under what I call the institutional attack they should be, they will panic to cover.
I hope so. This is what happens when all your reporters went to Princeton. Lee, I'm sorry to get back to you. I will see you on Fox and Friends. You're our favorite guest, so it won't be long.
Yes, you will. Great to see you.
Thank you. Thanks, Pat. Coming back, we will be back after the break. There's a lot more, so stay with us. Welcome back to the Hannity program. Unfortunately, and I mean that, it is unfortunate, we are out of time. Don't forget to set your alarm. I'll be on Fox and Friends in just a few hours, 6 a.m. Eastern. Have the best Labor Day weekend and a great night.